week, we look back at the week that was the Goodyear Knoxville Nationals. The highlights are in from all 3 nights of qualifications, including the 50-lap grand finale. Catch it all next on this week's edition of 4 Wide Weekly. Before we get underway with the highlights here this week, let's first try and explain the qualifying procedure for this year's Nationals. As in the past, the field once again split into 2 qualifying nights on Wednesday and Thursday. Each of those nights consists of a full program of time trials, heats, a C, B, and an A main. Now, qualifying points are awarded for position in each of those events, with 200 points going to the driver who sets fast time, 100 points for a heat race win, and 200 points once again for a win in an A main. Point totals will then drop by 2 from second through on down in qualifying, heat races, and feature events. After each qualifying night, the points totals from each night are tallied. The top 20 in points are locked into Saturday's A main, lined up based on their point totals, with the high point man starting on pole. 21st through 50th are locked into Saturday's B and C mains, with the rest of the field competing in non-qualifying events on Friday night to fill the C, D, and E. After Friday's non-qualifier events, the field then moves to the alphabet soup on Saturday as the C, D, and E main lineups are set. The goal of every driver outside of the A main, of course, to transfer from each of the lower mains through to the A, and the only way to do that is to move up through the field. 7 drivers advance from the E main to the rear of the D main, with 2 drivers moving from the D to the C, another 2 from the C to the B. From there, only 4 drivers will advance from the B main to the rear of Saturday's A main. And once again this season, the A is 50 laps, with a pit stop coming between lap 20 and 30. During that pit stop, teams can only change 1 tire. Everything else is wide open, and it's clean and green from there. So with that said, we'll get underway with night number 1 of qualifying, and in time trials, it was Brad Sweet in the Red Bull car number 9, filling in for Joey Saldana, setting quick time and earning 200 championship points, putting himself in excellent early position. Donnie Schatz qualified second fastest ahead of Sammy Swindell, Fast Freddie Raymer, and Chad Kemenah in your time trial top 5 for Wednesday night. Kemenah, however, ran into trouble in heat racing action, losing his left rear wheel going into corner number 3 and pounding the outside wall, collecting Austin Wheatley as well. Wheatley and Kemenah were done for the night, but both would return for non-qualifiers action on Friday to try and set themselves up for that 11th spot in the C main. With Wednesday's qualifying events in the book, the field was now set for the 25-lap A main with 200 more points on the line. Joey Mohan and Davey Heskin would bring the field to green after the 8-car qualifying invert, and Heskin was on a rail in the 56, running away from the field. Further back, though, Donnie Schatz, a 4-time Knoxville Nationals champion, he was on the move, looking for all the qualifying points he could get here, making an inside move on Mohan into turn 3. But in the very next corner, Schatz goes up in flames, erupting the power plant on the number 15, rolling to a stop at the end of the front straightaway, really hurting Schatz's chances of an up-front starting spot for the Saturday A main. Meanwhile, on the restart, Brad Sweet, your quick timer on the night, took the race lead from Heskin down the back straightaway, but Heskin, very strong on the inside of the racetrack, retakes the lead out of corner number 4. With just a handful of laps remaining, Heskin looked as though he was on his way to a qualifying night win, but Slammin' Sammy was on the charge, using the cushion out of corner number 2 to take the race lead. He would go on to the night 1 qualifier win at Knoxville. Swindell in the big game tree stands car number 1 nearly won the Nationals a year ago, and Wednesday night he was an A main qualifier winner, picking up another 200 qualifying points. Heskin came home in second ahead of fast timer Sweet. Shane Stewart charged from the rear of the field to a fine 4th place finish, with Steve Kinzer rounding out the top 5. Looking now at your Nationals qualifying points after night number 1, and it's your A main winner and fast timer leading the way, Sammy Swindell and Brad Sweet at the top of the list. Steve Kinzer, Fast Freddie Raymer, and your runner-up finisher in the A main, Davey Heskin, currently sit in the top 5. Sam Haferteep Jr., Austin McCarl, Donnie Schatz, despite blowing an engine, Shane Stewart, and Tim Schaefer, the top 10. They are hoping to hold position through Thursday night to stay in the top 20. Thursday night's qualifying action saw another KKR car at the top of the time trial list. This time it was Cody Dara in the Great Clips car number 91, earning 200 qualifying points towards his Saturday efforts. The lowrider Dale Blaney time trialed in second ahead of Darren Pittman. Jessica Zemkin with a great run in fourth. Paul McMahon rounded out the top five. Craig Delansky, Kerry Madsen, Greg Hodnett, Brian Brown, and Jason Myers all time trialed in the top 10. With the second half of the Nationals field qualified on Thursday, it was time for the 25-lap A-Main, and it was Terry McCarl, the six-time Knoxville Raceway champion, and Stevie Smith starting from row number one. McCarl would get the early advantage, but it didn't take long for defending Outlaws champion Jason Myers in the DD&I car number 14 to take the race lead out of turn two. Stevie Smith was next after McCarl, but they make contact down the front straightaway. McCarl spins to the infield. Stevie Smith suffered a broken front wing. Each would continue on, but would be out of contention for the win. Later, with Myers still out in front, Brian Brown began to make his charge in the FVP car number 21, pulling to the inside of Mark Dobmeyer in turn three. But Dobmeyer proved that he was going to be a force to be reckoned with on this night. Pulls back to the inside of Brown to retake the runner-up spot out of turn two. And Dobmeyer would not stop there. He next chased down race leader Myers, taking the top spot on the inside of the racetrack out of turn number four, then using the cushion in turn two to solidify that lead down the back straightaway. From there, Dobmeyer in the 13 would dominate on his way to victory, picking up the checkered flag on night number 2 of qualifying at the Knoxville Raceway. Dobmeyer setting himself up as best he can for the Saturday night A-Main with a 200-point qualifying win. Myers would come across the line in second ahead of Brown, Lance DeWeese, and the Cajun sensation Jason Johnson. After Thursday night qualifying, Sammy Swindell and Brad Sweet continued to lead the way. They would start Saturday's 50-lap A-Main from the front row. Dale Blaney and Jason Myers were the high point men from Thursday night, moving to third and fourth overall. Darren Pittman, Brian Brown, Mark Dobmeyer, Steve Kinzer, Freddie Raymer, and Davey Heskin were the top 10 in qualifying points after the 2 nights of qualifying. Joining the front 10 in Saturday's A-Main would also be drivers finishing 11th through 20th, including Donnie Schatz, who will start 13th in Saturday's A-Main after blowing an engine in the Wednesday feature event. Shane Stewart, Craig Delansky, Tim Schaefer, and Jason Johnson, the final 4 drivers to automatically transfer to the 50-lap Knoxville Nationals. We'll be back with more next, right here on 4 Wide Weekly.
Dirt racing's most celebrated stars. An electrifying atmosphere. Glory-filled heroics. A spectacle unlike any other. It's the World of Outlaws World Finals. All dirt roads lead to Charlotte as the World of Outlaws sprint cars, late models, and super dirt big block modifieds converge for one mind-blowing weekend. 3-day reserve seat packages, including your free pit pass, are on sale now at CharlotteMotorspeedway.com. November 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The Dirt Track at Charlotte.
Welcome back to this week's edition of 4 Wide Weekly. After Wednesday and Thursday qualifying action, drivers 51st on back in points moved to non-qualifiers events at Knoxville on Friday night. And on the pole for the non-qualifiers A-Main, it was Mouse Kenny Jacobs on the pole position. Kevin Swindell would start to his outside. This race went green to checkered, with Swindell getting the advantage and crossing under the checkered flag first. He will start 11th in the C-Main on Saturday. Lucas Wolf came home second ahead of Jacobs, Jack Hoddenchild, and Chad Kemenow. Friday night also featured the Race of Champions, sponsored by Q20. Tim Schaefer started on the pole position, but it was Kerry Madsen going for a wild ride in corner number 1 in the number 92 machine, a flip that just seemingly would not end. Madsen was okay, but he was out of the event. Schaefer, the defending Nationals champion, led wire to wire ahead of Shane Stewart to pick up the Q20 Race of Champions victory. Craig Kinzer came home third ahead of Jason Myers and Sammy Swindell. The final event on Friday night was the always popular World Challenge, featuring drivers from the States, Canada, and Australia, and 3 of the Americans get together right off the bat: Sammy Swindell, Craig Delansky, and Cody Dara. Dara would be done for the event, but he was A-OK in the Great Clips number 91. Lucas Wolf The driver of the 5W would go on to pick up the most lucrative win of his career, pocketing $10,000, winning the World Challenge at Knoxville on Friday night. Shane Stewart came home second ahead of Jason Sainz, Jason Johnson, and Australian Linton Jeffrey. Moving now to Saturday night, and after Bruce White, Jason Sainz, and Bronson Mason won the ED and C mains, we move to the always exciting Knoxville Nationals B main with 4 drivers moving on to the 50-lap finale. Craig Kinzer would pull out into the early race lead until Joey Mohan got upside down out of corner number 4 in the 14 machine. On the restart, Justin Henderson in the 35, he pulls out into the race lead. As Brooke Tatnell in the 59, the driver out of Australia, gets a little sideways in corner number 4. He brings the field to a slow one more time. On the restart, it was Stevie Smith moving out in front ahead of Henderson, Kinzer, and Brady Bacon in the transfer positions. Kinzer looking very strong once again, pulls to the inside of Henderson to take second into corner number 3. But Brady Bacon in the 99, he was the driver on the move. As Bacon pulls to the inside of Kinzer, Justin Henderson sees his national hopes go by the wayside as he shreds a left rear tire. Bacon continued his assault on the field, here taking the race lead from Stevie Smith after the restart to pull out in front, looking for his first start in the Knoxville Nationals. Meanwhile, Craig Kinzer, a former champion of the Nationals, locked in a great battle with Rager Phillips for the 3rd qualifying position. As Stevie Smith retakes the race lead, Ian Madsen finds trouble, and at the same time, Bacon has to pull pit side. With a flat right rear tire, the Rookie of the Year for the 2011 Nationals would just fall short. That moved Don Drought Jr. in the 47 machine into the transfer spot, and on the white flag, all hell broke loose. Rager Phillips runs second on the outside, but he starts to falter down the back straightaway. Phillips blows the motor in the 10 machine. That allows Don Drought Jr. to move into 3rd, and Lance DeWeese in the 30C moves into the final transfer spot as Stevie Smith gets the win. With the field now set, $150,000 on the line to the winner of the 51st Goodyear Knoxville Nationals. Sammy Swindell and Brad Sweet bring the field to green into corner number 1 as the smoke still fills the air from the fireworks during the parade lap, and right off the bat, in corner number 1, Austin McCarl takes a hard tumble in the 17A. He was okay, but clearly done for the evening. After the restart, Swindell jumped back out into the race lead, but Brad Sweet, your fast timer from Wednesday night, he was on a mission. Rolls to the outside of corner number 3 to take the race lead down the front straightaway. But Sammy would not give in. He pulls back to the bottom side to retake the point out of corner number 2, looking to avenge that loss in the Nationals from 1 year ago. The driver on the move, however, Donnie Schatz, a 4-time Nationals champion. He pulls to the inside of Jason Myers to take over the 3rd spot, and just laps later finds the low lane out of corner number 4. Schatz comes from 13th to the race lead in the STP number 15. Further back in the field, Shane Stewart was on the move from the 17th starting position. He would move into 6th just as the yellow comes out for the full field pit stop. Schatz making his right rear tire change. He would restart as the race leader. Up in front, Darren Pittman moved up to the 2nd spot in the 27. He decided it was now or never. Makes the inside move to Schatz in corner number 3, but Donnie pulls the crossover back underneath Pittman low out of corner number 4 to retake the point down into corner number 1. Nobody would have anything for Schatz in the remaining laps as he raced on to his 5th Knoxville Nationals title. Shane Stewart put on a clinic to come home second ahead of Sammy Swindell, Tim Schaefer, and Darren Pittman.
This is one race you definitely want to look forward to getting out of here with that big trophy. Can't thank my guys enough. They worked hard all week. You know, we thought we might have been in trouble there on the Wednesday night with the blown motor, but you know, they fought back. Everybody did. There's a lot of guys that you hope that could win this. I wish Joey Saldana could win this race because his dad did, and he's kind of laid up right now. So, you know, it's just it was a fun race.
Be sure to tune in to next week's edition of 4 Wide Weekly as the World of Outlaws Late Model Series heads to Merritt and Winston Raceways, while the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series returns to Houston Speedway.